And we begin with Newt Gingrich, who's been a frequent visitor to Face the Nation during this campaign. Thank you for coming again, Mr. Gingrich. You have the awesome responsibility of being the responder to the Vice President this morning. He talked about your proposal to get gas to $2.50 a gallon. He said, though, that Republicans are emasculating all efforts to deal with renewable energy, and that, in fact, you have no policy.
Well, our policy is pretty straightforward. If you look at natural gas, where we have, in fact, pumped a lot more, volume's gone up 11%, the price has dropped so dramatically since 2008 that if the same thing happened to gasoline, it'd be at $1.13 a gallon. Now, I've argued that we ought to have an American independence energy policy, so no future president will bow to a Saudi king. And I've argued that if the president would open up the federal government's land, open up offshore drilling, and sign the Keystone Pipeline, which will bring 700,000 barrels a day to Houston from Canada, that combined series of things would bring down the price of gasoline dramatically.
Well, I mean, but isn't it very difficult for this president or any president to bring down gas prices? Because the big factor here is the fact that the Chinese now need so much oil. You have turmoil in the Middle East. You have this situation going on with Iran. Some of these things the president can't control.
No, but that would mean you'd want even more American energy, because you want a margin of error for the things you can't control. In World War II, we pumped 83% of the world's oil. We were enormously powerful as an oil producer. The new technologies allow us in North Dakota to jump from 150 million barrels in reserve to 24 billion barrels in reserve. Nobody in Washington has noticed the revolution in technology, which should make America the leading oil-producing country in the world if President Obama weren't so anti-American energy. He spends money on Solyndra, which fails, while attacking the oil companies who could bring down the price of gasoline. That's an irrational policy if you care about the pocketbook of the American people.
Let's talk a little bit about what Mitt Romney said about the open mic where Barack Obama told the Russian president, look, give me some space here, I'll have more flexibility after the election. The vice president says, look, he's just stating reality.
First of all, I thought you getting Biden to explain Obama's open mic was such a nice shift of direction from Obama having to explain Biden's open mic that it was almost worth watching just for that. What people have to worry about is when a president who's already proven he's a radical says to a Russian president, give me some space so I can get reelected because then I'll have real flexibility. You have to want real flexibility for what? And you also have to ask yourself, how many foreign leaders has he said that to without an open mic? How many other countries are counting on Barack Obama to be, quote, flexible after the election? And what kind of flexibility is it that he doesn't want to share with the American people right now?
Well, but I mean, when he says that, I mean, just to be the devil's advocate here, I mean, nobody ever gets much done in an election year in Washington. I mean, that's pretty much a true fact. Wasn't that really just stating the obvious? I mean, it's embarrassing.
Look,
I
don't know. The last time we had an open mic incident with a foreign leader, it was Sarkozy complaining about Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel, and Obama actually sort of trumping him and saying, it's even worse, I have to deal with him every day. And it was a very derogatory reference to Israel. I mean, if I were the Israelis and I was watching this president wander around the planet, I'd be a little worried, and I'd want to know what's he going to be like after the re-election. I also think if you look at his policies, he will be more radical. And this, by the way, is a president whose Environmental Protection Agency declared war on coal this week. And despite Vice President Biden's effort to apologize for it, his attack on the Catholic Church is certainly seen by the Catholic bishops as a direct frontal assault on their religious liberty. And they do not agree with the Vice President's interpretation of that kind of a radical assault.
Do you think it's good politics, though, for Republicans to be sort of campaigning against birth control? I mean, I take your points on the Catholic side of it.
This is a canard. Nobody's campaigning against birth control. And nobody's blocking the young lady who testified from having access to birth control. The question is, first of all, the Obama rule includes abortifications, things that lead to abortions, not just birth control. And second, you can have total freedom as an individual without having to coerce a church or a synagogue into doing something against its religious beliefs. I mean, the real question is, does the government of the United States, just as in Obamacare generally, does the government of the United States have the power to coerce religious institutions against their religious beliefs? That's a pretty fundamental question.
You know, I want to talk a little politics
All right.
and personal politics about you. And I'm going to say in the beginning, I learned my lesson about counting you out in this campaign. I think I declared you dead about twice, and both times you came back alive and were still in there. But right now, it looks to me like it's going to be very difficult for you. I mean, Sheldon Adelson, who gave you $10 million, or gave your super PAC $10 million, said the other day he thinks you reached the end of the line. I mean, where do you go from here?
Well, I think we keep campaigning, and Governor Romney, as he himself said in the clip you used, says he has to earn the 1,144. We're not going to concede it to him. You know, Kansas last night set the second record for coming from behind. They were down 9 points at the half. That is the second biggest margin to come back from in the Final Four series. So I'm going to take Kansas as a model. St. Louis last year was 10.5 games out with 28 games to go, and as an Atlanta Braves fan, that was a very painful lesson. If Governor Romney gets to 1144, not counting, by the way, disputed delegates in Arizona, Florida, and Idaho, but if he gets to 1144, he'll be the nominee.
Will you then endorse him
Absolutely.
at that point?
I'll do everything I can to help elect him. If Rick Santorum becomes the nominee, I'll help him. And I believe both of them would tell you, if I became the nominee, they'd help me. We are all committed to defeating Barack Obama. We think his reelection will be a disaster for the country.
Having said that, this has been a very personal and a very tough campaign. You yourself have said some hard and harsh things. I mean, one of the most arresting moments in this campaign came when you were on the CBS morning show with Norah O'Donnell and I. And let me just show you what you said. You'll remember.
Are you calling Mitt Romney a liar?
Yes.
You're calling Mitt Romney a liar?
Well, you seem shocked by it. Yes. I mean, what
Why
else
are
could
you
you say?
saying he's a liar?
Because this is a man whose staff created the PAC. His millionaire friends fund the PAC. He pretends he has nothing to do with the PAC. It's baloney. He's not telling the American people the truth. It's like his pretense that he's a conservative.
So how do you do that, Mr. Speaker? You call someone a liar, and then you say, oh, yeah, I can endorse him.
Because there's an alternative. You didn't say to me, in an ideal world, is Mitt Romney the person I'd like to have as president? First of all, that person's Newt Gingrich. But second, and as a realistic thing, Barack Obama, in my judgment, and I mean this not just as a partisan, I believe he is so radical, and I believe his policies are so dangerous to the United States, that I am determined to do everything I can to help defeat Barack Obama. And there's no question in my mind that Mitt Romney would be a dramatically better president, as would Rick Santorum, than Barack Obama in terms of the values I hold dear. So it comes down to a question, if you end up with those as your two choices, I would do everything I could to defeat Barack Obama.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for being with us this morning. You have been very forthcoming and direct, as we just saw in this campaign, and we appreciate you coming by.
Good to be with you.
Thank you.